face coming back. That's awesome. Amazing. For more of the stark realities mothers grapple with, we welcome Bonnie Jaeckel. Hers is a graphic story that will leave everybody clutching their chest. Let's listen to her blood, sweat, mother's milk, and tears.
In my life, I've had 3 nipples. The first 2 I was born with, and the third one I earned the old-fashioned way, through blood, sweat, mother's milk, and tears. So it was helpful to hear the lactation consultant in the maternity ward admit that breastfeeding is one of the most unnatural, natural things to do. Because with my first child, I didn't know much more about what to do than did my newborn daughter. And according to the lactation consultant, she was still struggling with baby's first job, to get her mouth organized. Really? Get her mouth organized. I had no idea a baby has to get her mouth organized. Newborns come preloaded with a tiny bit of instinct, but as a team, we were still figuring out how to make this newly discovered and activated food production and delivery system work. Turns out it's a some assembly required deal. Let's have you watch a video, Nurse Condello said cheerily, and flipping it on, a mother who knew what she was doing and was amply equipped for it appeared on the monitor, breastfeeding an infant. With one eye full of her feeding equipment runneth over, my husband remarked unemotionally, "I think I see the problem." I mean, just her pink target zone was larger than her baby's entire head. It seemed an unbalanced competition, and my cup was barely half full. "Oh no, size has nothing to do with it," our nurse swiftly corrected him. It took a couple weeks to get the hang of what I'd always believed was natural. Oh, and it was painful at first, another fact that's conveniently glossed over in the romantic, soft focus images of breastfeeding. Of course, it did all get better. And after several weeks, I figured I could carve out a few hours to attend our company holiday party if I prepared by leaving milk so my daughter could be fed while I was away. I felt good that there were 3 mother's milk bottles ready to go and baby would be provided for. Fine, except for one important detail. What I didn't yet fully grasp about the system was that it continuously produces milk at the same rate, even if it isn't consumed. When I returned home 4 hours later, baby was full and fast asleep. I was also full and had learned the hard way that this production system requires tapping at regular intervals, and woke her up for a command feeding. I came to mothering relatively late in life, so I actually thought I knew a few things on arrival. But I soon learned that a third party can often help you see what you're overlooking. Shannon, our beloved first sitter, mentioned one day that our second daughter was such a happy baby and literally never cried, so long as she was fed on time. And that, I'm sorry to admit, was an aha moment for me, because up until hearing it, I had only fed her when prompted by her crying. Children make the parents. I wasn't a mom until I had them. You learn as you go, helped by others, and yet what you learn with one child may be completely irrelevant with the next. So it was a completely different challenge with our son. His front teeth came in at around 3 months. And in latching on one day, he clamped down with newly erupted pincer upper and lower baby teeth, chomping off all but a thread of my nipple. Bright red blood and milk flowed together. The nurse I spoke to when I called the maternity ward said there was no choice but to continue to breastfeed and that it would heal. Every feeding brought the same initial latch-on pain for me, followed by a blood shooter and a milk chaser for baby. After several days of this, my husband, observing the status of my dangling feeding portal, remarked, again sans emotion, "I don't see how that's going to grow back." I reached out again to the hospital maternity ward nurse, who explained that indeed it wasn't going to reattach, but rather it would crust up and fall off, roughly in 2 weeks' time, and that a new one, my third nipple, would grow from within, and that my only option was to nurse through it, blood and all, which I did. I like to make the analogy that raising children is like making pancakes. With the first, you're untested. The griddle isn't hot enough and your technique isn't quite on point. The middle ones tend to take care of themselves. And the last one either gets forgotten and left on the griddle too long, or gets rushed because everyone's hungry and isn't it time to go to kindergarten already? Most of us aren't born knowing how to be a mother, but unbelievably, though you'll need a license if you want to have a dog or go fishing, there is no licensing program or official training for what may be life's most important role. Instead, there's a lot of trial and error, all with the best intentions and hopefully recoverable errors.